The old librarian happily remarked, "The relocation plan for the large library has been completed 6 months ahead of schedule. It feels truly relieving to see the neglected books of the past 20 years finally sorted out." However, he also pondered, but if we lose such a useful person, wouldn't it be a waste? We could reconsider the contract termination with a few reasons. The head butler, sensing his subordinate overstepping his bounds, frowned. "You're speaking nonsense. Focus on your work." "Apologies, Sir Butler," the assistant hastily replied. Nevertheless, the words of the assistant also made the old butler reconsider Sorenarian. Inside the grand library, Soren remained engrossed in flipping through the pages of books. The sunlight streaming under the table he sat at evoked an image of enlightenment shining upon the young man. Reading was easy for him, but going through thousands of books was a different story, almost like a dream. Just as Soren was quietly seated, he was startled by a loud call. "Soren!" Ryan appeared at the door, asking, "I heard you're done. Have you gone home? Have you really finished reading them all?" Soren chuckled in response, "Yes, there's nothing left to read here, at least not on this side." Although Soren was the one who finished reading the books, it was Ryan who was ecstatic upon hearing about his friend's accomplishment. He hugged Soren and exclaimed, "Really? Ha ha! You're amazing. You finished them all. Congratulations, that's incredible." Suddenly, Soren hinted to Ryan about a small matter. "Ryan, before I leave, can I come to your house?" Utterly surprised, Ryan couldn't believe his ears. "What? Really? Is it such a big surprise?" No, it's just that Ryan thought Soren was secretive about their friendship, so he was quite disappointed. Hearing this suggestion from Soren, he couldn't believe it. Really? Soren also regretted this. He should have visited Ryan's house earlier. Since they mostly met at the library, there weren't many opportunities for private meetings. As Ryan opened the door, he peeked out and exclaimed, "Yo-ho! Greetings, young master." The servants bowed to him. "Well done." His joyful praise made them feel relieved. Every time they met, they pretended not to be familiar. Living here for a year, Soren was curious about where Ryan lived. Ryan warmly welcomed Soren. "Come on in. Today, everyone in the house is going out." "Right now?" Later, Soren stepped outside the library, changed out of his uniform, and put on casual clothes as a friend rather than a servant. "You seem quite bewildered stepping out," Ryan teased. Soren bit his lip, thinking, "Being here makes me a bit nervous," as Ryan led him through the mansion, which made Soren apprehensive. "Ryan, is it okay to go straight through the main entrance like this?" Soren asked with concern. "Don't worry, we won't be back before afternoon," Ryan reassured him as he gave Soren a tour of the house. Soren looked around nervously. "It's so quiet. Wow, it's really spacious here, isn't it?" "They're just the household staff," Ryan explained. Soren couldn't help but continue looking around. "That huge gate is just a room entrance? A room here must be as big as my entire house." So Ryan is the heir of a wealthy family. But he's not arrogant at all. Ryan started showing Soren around. "This is my room." Soren went from one surprise to another. "This is Ryan's bedroom?" "The smallest room at the end of the hallway. It looks more like a training room." "Hee hee," Ryan said to Soren, inviting him in naturally. Soren observed the room and his thoughts raced. "Looks like a little rest area after training. Does Ryan really live here? In this room?" As sunlight streamed through the window panes, Ryan's face glistened with sweat, while Soren remained calm. Unable to contain his frustration any longer, Ryan exclaimed, "Damn it! I'm not playing anymore. I lost again. Hee hee. And what's more?" Soren smirked mischievously. Ryan glared at Soren. "Are you cheating with mental gymnastics?" "What? Who do you think I am?" Soren explained, "You have a habit of arranging the ace cards in the deck to the outermost, and whether you have a pair of cards can be easily noticed from your laugh." "What? How did you find out?" Ryan was astonished. Observational skills work well when you're not too focused on one thing. When observing opponents, you should watch all their actions, then you can guess what they're thinking, Soren replied succinctly. Ryan pondered for a while. These insights don't just observe one point but must observe the entire action. Will this help awaken my strategy? Soren laughed and said, it might. It also helps me delve into my own mental world. Ryan looked at Soren with a sense of defeat. I still don't quite understand. Oh well, Soren said cheerfully, holding up a book, intending to ask Ryan to borrow the book he was holding. I've been reading too many history books lately, so I thought I'd switch it up. Reading novels is also interesting. Oh my god! Soren turned to find Ryan already dozing off. He said everyone in his family will be back in the afternoon. Just as he was about to leave, Soren heard the sound of a piano coming from somewhere. Recognizing the sound, Soren thought, only one person in this mansion can play the piano. The sound emanated from a nearby room where a girl with blue hair was engrossed in playing the piano, her dexterous fingers creating resonant melodies. Genuine, that was her name. She turned around and asked Soren, how does my sonata sound? Startled, Soren thought to himself, I'm caught. He replied cautiously, I think it sounds great, but his mind was in a whirlwind, trying to figure out how to escape. What should I do? Renowan looked at Soren with a hint of curiosity compared to other family members in the castle, and she asked, is this the first time we've met? Are you newly recruited? Yes, ma'am. I've been in charge of the book sorting department in the library for about a year now, Soren replied. Miss Manwha nodded, you're the new kid. I've heard that not everyone can sort books. You must be very smart. Have you ever played the piano? Soren felt apprehensive about this girl, who was an expert in using force techniques while performing. So he chose to answer honestly, no, ma'am. Soren remembered Ryan saying that the worst person in the mansion was his sister. Miss Rena reserved a corner of the piano for Soren and softly said, let me teach you, come here. Hearing this, Soren felt both surprised and frightened. What? Sit there? Rena winked repeatedly, affirming, it's okay, I allow it, so nobody will blame you. In a dilemma, Soren thought, he insists on it, and I don't have the right to refuse. Plus, I don't often get the chance to sit in front of a piano. The temptation of something new overcame Soren's fear. When began gently instructing the newly acquainted butler, now, these are the musical notes, do, re, mi, and the symbols in the sheet music are. Try pressing down all three keys at the same time. She guided him with a melodious voice, and Soren followed closely. The sound emanating from the exquisite piano made him exclaim in amazement, such a beautiful sound. Oh! That's a good start. Her praise made Soren feel shy, and he boldly said, I'm sorry if I'm asking too much, but can I try playing? Ha! Okay, Rena agreed decisively. Soren's fingers hesitantly touched the keys of the valuable piano. I probably won't be very good at playing, he said. That's how everyone starts, she reassured him without a hint of mockery. As Miss Rena listened to these sounds, she suddenly had a thought and looked at Soren. Does he know a bit about music theory beyond what I just taught? Soren's hands glided across the keyboard more and more skillfully, and the sounds pouring out became much more complete. In fact, he was creating a complete piece of music. Rena was extremely surprised at the humble person in front of her. Wow, unbelievable, he's playing everything wrong. But he's not hesitating at all when pressing the keys. Should I stop him? It's strange, he's completely playing it wrong, but it's exactly like the original music. It's as if he can perfectly mimic the feeling of the music I played earlier. At this moment, Soren was completely focused on learning to play the piano. He was using his gaze to enter a mental world, feeling the sounds perfectly, while his hands continued to glide over the keys. It seemed like the notes were becoming more and more polished and accurate. Rena also noticed the astonishing progress in him in a blink of an eye. She realized that he was learning and playing the piano using intense concentration in the mental world. Truly, he was a genius. She exclaimed, wow! What's this? It couldn't be called a performance, but she was curious about his perceptive abilities. Could he perceive the most subtle things? This boy was just a household helper. However, what was special was his demeanor and behavior, which seemed very aristocratic. Soren, no longer intimidated, hesitantly said, I'm sorry, I just... But before he could finish, Ryan burst in, yelling, "Stop making such a racket! You annoying little gremlin! Go home and rest! Why does my sister always act so crazy?" Suddenly noticing Soren there, he was surprised. "Are you here too?" He immediately softened his tone. Soren quickly responded, yes, that's right." Miss Rena turned to ask, "Do you two know each other?" Soren panicked and denied immediately, No, we don't." Worried that their acquaintance would be exposed, Soren hastily denied, "Why do I feel like I'm committing a crime?" Before he could add anything, Ryan replied, "Is that Soren?" "He's my friend." Hearing this, Soren dropped to his knees in a panic, as if facing imminent death. "What are you saying, Ryan?" Ryan reassured him, "Don't worry. The witch gremlin has a difficult personality, but she doesn't care about those things." Ryan's words still left Soren confused and worried. "What? How could that be? She doesn't care about her background?" As Rena personally stepped forward to support him, Soren felt much more relieved. "Your name is Soren, right? Don't worry. If Ryan says you're friends, then it's fine. My little brother can be annoying, but he takes his words seriously." She continued to ask Soren, "So, what were you thinking when playing the piano?" "I want to know. How did you do that?" Hesitating, Soren didn't have an answer to this question. Ryan intervened, "What's up? Was that Soren playing?" "I thought you were pulling some crazy stunt," Soren remarked, looking at the Wynn sisters. Did she really not care that her brother was making friends with a commoner? Soren then asked Ryan, "And why did you lie about your sister? She's a kind and beautiful lady, isn't she?" Ryan whispered to Soren, "What? Don't be fooled by her. She's a witch. Who knows when she'll follow through and swallow you up?" Rena also leaned close to Soren and whispered, "I'm sorry, my little brother is a bit childish. I'm glad he has you as a friend. Please take care of him." Obediently, Soren nodded. "It's nothing, really. Actually, I'm the one who should be grateful to him." "Oh, you're adorable," she praised him. Seeing his sister's reaction, Ryan chuckled charmingly. "So why don't you keep him here and let him join our family while you're at it?" Rena laughed mischievously. "Ha! So close that you're not afraid he'll steal your sister?" After this exchange, the two cousins continued their heated argument, with Soren feeling increasingly bewildered. Just when he thought he had gained a better understanding of their noble family, it became even more confusing. After Ryan finished arguing, he suddenly asked his sister in a loud voice, Why are you home already? You haven't been away for long, have you?" She replied sharply, "Don't you know? Jan is preparing for an exam. I'm here to pick him up. We'll be leaving tomorrow. And Grandpa has gone to visit another friend, he'll be back later." Ryan's expression turned slightly serious upon hearing this. "What? So far away?" Soren was very attentive to this exam. It was used as a criterion and condition for wizards and knights to be recognized, not only in the kingdom but also across the continent. More than 1,000 people participated each year, but only about 30 succeeded in completing it each time. Furthermore, there was the uncertified diploma, obtained from an academy and certified by the kingdom, such as the Ampas School of Magic, which had the opportunity to become an uncertified 10th grade wizard. After achieving a certain level of achievement through organization and association, one could advance. But where there was wealth and fame, people naturally gathered. Even with an uncertified diploma, people still yearned for higher certification. This was the current exam that Jan was preparing for at the age of 18. Ryan sighed and exclaimed, "Wow! Truly exceptional talents. They also have the full support of the family." Rena passed by and affectionately tousled Ryan's hair. "It's okay, I'll go prepare dinner. It's seafood from the royal palace, so I have to personally oversee it," she said before turning to Soren. "It was nice meeting you, Soren. Until we meet again." Soren instinctively replied, "Yes, I wish you a good day," silently wondering if he would ever have the chance to see her again, because tomorrow, he would be leaving the estate. Suddenly, Soren, feeling curious, asked Ryan. Your sister? Ryan responded with a puzzled expression, yes. Soren continued, does she have a boyfriend? Ryan's face became blank, making Soren feel embarrassed. It's nothing, he hurriedly added, his expression betraying his disappointment. Ryan smirked mischievously, causing Soren to stumble over his words in explanation. I was just curious, forget about that question, and besides. But Ryan dashed off quickly to report to his sister. Soren watched him go, feeling both embarrassed and anxious. I said it was nothing. Ryan's voice echoed from above, sister. Soren asked if you have a boyfriend. Soren rushed over to cover Ryan's mouth, but the question had already reached the ears of everyone nearby. Rena blushed and stuttered, what? A boyfriend? She then tried to brush it off, saying to the servants, oh, they're just teasing each other. Don't worry about it. We've finished separating the toxins. Now it's time to steam it, Rena continued, directing the kitchen staff. Yes, miss, they replied, bustling around with the cooking. Meanwhile, two unfamiliar faces observed Ryan with curiosity. Hey Haynes, does the young master have guests today? One of them asked. No scheduled appointments, head steward, Haynes replied. Soren, he said. The steward began, but the head steward interrupted, saying, I think I've heard that name before. Ah, now I remember. He immediately gave orders. Tell Muron to come to my office immediately. One frosty day, the forest was covered in icy snow, and Ryan was panting heavily, clearly exhausted. The instructor ordered, stop. Take a 10-minute break. Nodding, he glanced at Ryan. He's been training diligently for about a year now. He used to give up easily, but once he enters the royal palace, he'll change. The key is to master the force, the instructor commented. At that moment, a servant hurried over to report to Ryan, Master, Miss Rena requests your immediate return to the estate. Hearing Rena's name, Ryan dismissed it, her? If it's just to praise my brother, I'm not interested. Let her do whatever she wants. The servant hastily explained, no, Master. Miss Rena says that Soren is in danger. He could die. Surprised, Ryan exclaimed, what? I thought he was going home today? The servant rushed, the head steward reported to the heads of the clan. I don't know the details, but Miss Rena mentioned it's because of his relationship with you. Receiving the shocking news, Ryan immediately left. Before leaving, he said, Master, I have to go see my father. What's going on? His father asked. A servant named Soren is a friend of mine, and somehow father knows about it. I'm sure you'll forgive him if I convince you. I'll resume training later. But the master stopped him, you can't. Surprised, Ryan asked, why not, father? Meanwhile, on the other side of the palace, the master and the servants were gathered. Soren was kneeling on the ground. The master announced, Soren Aryan, you will be executed in this room. All eyes were on Soren. People were incredulous and wondered, could this really happen? How could a commoner dare to do such a thing to nobility? Even if he's ignorant, he should know the rules. Amidst the murmurs and discussions, the steward supervised the punishment as a significant warning. Soren didn't know what to say in this situation, while the master observed his confession with an uncomfortable expression. Rena tried to speak softly, wanting to express her opinion, Father. Wait, there's something. He brushed her off, what else is there to say? According to the testimonies provided by the head steward, many family members have confirmed that this boy behaved recklessly in front of Ryan. I've read the contract in detail, so there shouldn't be any new objections. Is there anything else you want to say? Suddenly, Soren spoke up, I want to ask something. If I and the young master are friends, then what will happen to the young master? Other family members sneered at this, he doesn't even understand his current situation? He should be begging for mercy. Rena was also surprised by Soren's attitude. Why was he worried about Ryan in this situation? Master Bob scolded loudly, Soren. How dare you ask such a question? Truly an ignorant commoner. Do you think if you play with someone like you, the nobility will be fine? Upon hearing this, Soren breathed a sigh of relief. He immediately affirmed, "Yes, Ryan and I are friends. We've been friends for a year now, and we'll always be friends." When Soren said this, all the family members shook their heads in disdain for the boy's foolishness. Even Master Bob wondered why he wasn't afraid. "That's right. It seems like you're underestimating the Wynn family. Head steward, quickly deal with him. Don't let news of this incident leak out," he ordered. Rena was distraught, unable to sit still, intentionally prolonging the wait for Ryan's return. "Father! Please listen to me," she pleaded. But the authoritative master insisted, "He's confessed, and I've made my decision. As the head of the family, once I've made a decision, it's final." The family members trembled, looking at the dire situation. "Isn't the head steward's action a bit too much?" someone questioned. But another opinion dismissed it, saying the steward's actions were justified. "There's no reason why we should risk everything for one person. This clan is our life, and to protect it, we must eliminate any conflicts, no matter how small. You may see it as wrong now, but you'll appreciate the choice later." Just before Soren was taken away for execution, Ryan returned just in time. As he burst through the door, he exclaimed, "I won't let that happen." Seeing her brother return, Rena exclaimed with joy, "Ryan!" Soren felt relieved and elated to see his friend safe before him. Ryan, with his impulsive nature, immediately shouted, "Who dares to kill my friend without my permission?" The cold response came from his father, "I do." Ryan found it hard to accept their treatment of their household members. "Why? He didn't commit any murder. He just became friends with me." But his father believed otherwise. One doesn't need to commit murder to deserve death. Matters concerning the nobility are very complex. You can't even imagine. Our family is handling this complex situation, and you're enjoying the privileges of a nobleman's son. Ryan vehemently argued back, "If those privileges force me to kill my friend, then I don't want them." His father dismissed Ryan as a child. "Why should he die, you ask? I'll tell you. Building a friendship with the nobility means that relationship must be reciprocal. Do you really think that commoner considers you a friend? How many people in this world want to take advantage of the nobility?" Ryan felt the pressure but remained steadfast. Soren would never do such a thing. His stubborn father challenged him, "Oh really? How can I believe you? Prove that you and Soren are truly friends." When reminded of the need for proof, Ryan hesitated for a moment. Ryan understood that saying "I can't prove it" would mean the end of everything. The feeling of Ryan's naive argument interrupted him. He was now confused and didn't know how to proceed. Is it important to prove the feelings of a person? Even Ryan understood at this moment that he couldn't just blurt out words randomly. He wished if he were Soren, he could easily defeat his father with words. Suddenly, Ryan became very insightful in this life or death situation. He thought, what if he put himself in Soren's shoes? Soren's gaze made Ryan think of many things. It seemed to draw everything into an endless abyss. Like when they competed, this gaze reminded Ryan of what Soren taught him. Sometimes, not focusing on small details will bring better results. Don't concentrate on the small parts of your opponent, instead, look at the big picture. The big picture, Ryan pondered for a moment. In that case, you'll be able to see the true purpose of your opponent. The big picture, right in front of Ryan now, was his father, the second-ranked noble, the head of the Wynn clan, with his black hair lineage, a revered knight certified at level 4. Yes, Ryan felt this wasn't like a quarrel between his son and his father. It was a sword fight. Returning 30 minutes earlier, Ryan caused a disturbance with his master by asking, "Master, why won't you let him go? Your apprentice's friend might die." The teacher nodded, "That's right. You're talking about the kid working in the library, aren't you? But that kid is a commoner." Hearing the words commoner, Ryan felt stunned and saddened. "Master, I didn't know you were like this. You taught me differently." The master said that if swinging a sword could resolve matters, then anyone could be our friend. He then patted Ryan on the shoulder until Ryan calmed down, and he explained, "You don't understand what's most important to a noble, do you? Nobles must eliminate anything that threatens their family's status. Have you ever thought about the burden you have to bear? when his value is equivalent to that of a fly. After befriending him without thinking ahead, don't think you can solve this with arguments, the master emphasized. Ryan remained steadfast in his stance, firmly grasping his hand and saying, "But I can't just stand here and do nothing. I was the one who suggested befriending him first. I don't want to become a coward." Ryan's master looked pleased. "This kid is good. He's genuinely kind and honest. But that won't make him a great swordsman." He said gently, "I have high hopes for you, and I'll support you." After speaking, the master handed Ryan a sword and instructed him, "Your father will let you go if you bring this with you. But if you're not mentally prepared for this, don't even dream of stepping out, even a single step." In response to these instructions from his master, Ryan looked determined. "Master, I will never forget this favor." The master advised Ryan, "Remember, discarding a friend is like discarding a part of your own body." This was a life and death sword duel. Where did Ryan find the courage in this situation? He chuckled, "Ha ha. Truly my father. I was almost defeated by him. Prove that we're friends? I believe we can." Ryan shouted affirmatively, "Because I believe that Soren and I are friends. My existence, Soren's friend, is proof of our friendship." The more Ryan's father heard him speak, the more troubled his mind became. It's absurd. This isn't just an argument between father and son. Even now, the reputation of countless nobles is crumbling. If we can avoid the downfall of our family, I'm even willing to sever ties with my own son. Upon hearing this declaration, all the household members were surprised. Rena was no exception. She felt as if lightning had struck her ears. Meanwhile, the Wen family father and son remained resolute in their decision. "If I have to do that to save my friend's life, then I will happily leave." The enraged master began to shout, "You brat! Raise your sword if you truly think he's your friend. Let's wager lives right here." Immediately, Ryan drew his sword. His father couldn't believe his son had the courage to act. "Are you even raising your sword against your father?" Ryan replied differently, "I'm not pointing my sword at you, father. I'm just showing trust." The father continued to insist on the wrongness of associating with a lowly person, which would weaken the esteemed position of the Wen family. "Soren, how can you have friends when you can't even get along with other nobles?" "Well, maybe I can't reach the level of other nobles, but now I'm just holding back someone weaker than me to comfort myself." Ryan used self-deprecating words but with a hint of pride in his eyes. It's as if he wanted to say, "This time, father is wrong. Soren is my friend, and he's better than me. I want to help Soren shine even brighter in a higher position." Hearing this seemed to further solidify the notion that the noble's son was being manipulated. The angry master turned his accusing gaze towards Soren. "Have you deceived this kid, Soren? Did you convince him that a commoner can befriend nobles?" Soren, feeling discouraged, replied, "No." Ryan, standing up fiercely to defend Soren, reassured him, "Stay calm, Soren, I'll protect you." "Ryan," Soren said earnestly, "you don't need to take responsibility for everything. I'll take responsibility for my part. Since you wanted to befriend me, I've had a feeling that I would have to stand at a crossroads to choose whether to be your friend or save myself. Even if it means dying here, I have no regrets befriending you." These words touched Ryan's heart, and he declared to his father, "That's what I meant, father. Even if I'm isolated, we're still true friends." The emotions between the two, master and apprentice, puzzled the old master. As for Ryan, he was moved. Even if we're not mature, we're still emotional beings. A true friend doesn't turn their back on us. Each family member was moved to tears by this friendship. Everyone either had such a friendship or desired one. Ah! Even the head butler seemed conflicted by what was happening. Suddenly, a voice echoed, "Ha ha ha, how interesting. Grandpa." He had been observing from above since earlier and exclaimed, "I never thought I'd witness such an emotional scene from so far away. Youth is truly amazing." Ryan's grandfather appeared, having just returned. When Ryan saw his grandfather's presence, he felt more relieved. Everything is all right now. The master of the house, burst, upon hearing this familiar voice, turned respectfully. "Father has returned. I thought it would take a few more days, Rena told me." The old man expressed, "I came back early because your friend ran away with the girl." Soren looked somewhat surprised by the appearance of Ryan's grandfather. That person is the commander of Tomiya and a third-level swordsman. The old man sat leisurely on the big chair, talking and laughing. This place is as lively as ever. Youth is truly wonderful. However, the household head, Bob, felt melancholic and contradicted his father's words. It's not great in this situation, our family's image is almost completely ruined. But the old man looked at things positively and advised Bob, don't rush to conclusions like that. I've been watching from behind for a while now, and it's clear that everyone here has a lot to say. So why don't we listen to their opinions first and see if we've lost face? Without hesitation, Rena seized the opportunity to intervene, transforming into the first witness, the eldest daughter, and affirmed, even though yesterday was the first time I met Soren, I could tell he's a very intelligent and talented young man. Moreover, Soren has fulfilled all the requirements of the contract, and he should have left the family today. Considering such circumstances, it's hard to say that Soren approached Ryan with any malicious intent. And as a result, I don't believe his actions have brought shame to our family. The grandfather nodded approvingly at his granddaughter's excellent response. I see. If that's the case, I'd like to hear from another witness. What do you think, my grandson, the second witness? No one else but the second son of the Wynn family. I don't like that brat's attitude. This testimony pleased the household head, Bob, greatly. That's right. I knew I could trust you, January. However, Jan responded indifferently, however, this has nothing to do with me. The household head became crestfallen. What do you mean? You say you dislike him and then say you don't care? Jan didn't want to bother, so he replied, that's right, I don't like the brat, but who Ryan makes friends with has nothing to do with me. I simply want this matter to end so we can depart for the royal palace. This vague answer suddenly gave Rena a different perspective on her unpleasant younger brother, Jan. The grandfather was pleased and couldn't stop smiling, haha. There's no place like home indeed. Now, I'd like to hear from the one who has observed Soren for the longest. The chief steward, Temuran, respectfully stepped forward to speak. Before he could respond, the head butler cleared his throat as if urging Temuran to reconsider. He wanted the chief steward to understand his intention. We are not here to express opinions but to obey the master's wishes. However, after accompanying Soren for a long time, Temuran couldn't bring himself to lie. He spoke up, Soren has completed the tasks I assigned to him very satisfactorily. Furthermore, he finished the tasks 6 months ahead of schedule. These honest words from the chief steward made the head butler uncomfortable. He grumbled disapprovingly, Chief Steward, do you think you're doing something useful? Grandfather Wen, Bob, continued to inquire, do you know if they are friends? Temuran didn't take long to answer honestly, I know he often goes out with the young master, but I don't know if they are friends. However, in Temuran's opinion, if Soren were an ill-mannered child, he wouldn't have been able to classify those 10,000 books. Ryan was feeling very pleased with the current situation and atmosphere. Chief Steward, well done. The atmosphere had completely changed. The only person left wanting to punish Soren was Mr. Burst. Looking at the displeased expression on the household head's face and the reactions of those around him, suddenly the grandfather changed his decision. No. I can't agree to this. Bob and Rena were both surprised. Grandfather Wen believed, no. I understand they see each other as friends. However, let's stop here. If this relationship continues, rumors will spread outside, and it could become a vulnerability for our political opponents to exploit. Everyone in our family is prominent individuals in the kingdom. Grandfather also expressed concern for Jan, even my grandson is preparing to receive his swordsman certification. What can we do when so many families rely on our one family? The words of the old man made the household members break out in a cold sweat. He believed, Soren, you are a smart child, I believe you will understand. However, Rena was still very dissatisfied with this handling. She tearfully interjected but could only manage a few words, but... Meanwhile, Ryan was still feeling very sad, transitioning slowly into anger. The old man continued, I see you have a lot of potential and intelligence, Ryan, but why don't you understand my words? You also know the burden on your shoulders, how heavy the lives of countless people are, don't you? Ryan seemed to find no solace in the explanation. Grandfather Wen then turned to ask for Soren's opinion. What do you think, Soren? I want to thank you for teaching my naive grandson what true friendship is. But can we end it here? This question greatly saddened Soren. He hesitated, but then spoke firmly, no, it's impossible. This statement truly surprised everyone, from Grandfather Wen, Rena, Mr. Bob, to Ryan, who all wore expressions of astonishment. Ryan tried to call out to Soren, but he seemed engrossed in speaking without pause. If I hinder Ryan, I don't mind never seeing the day again. However, that doesn't mean I can't consider him a friend. Ryan and I are friends. As long as he considers those matters, I will obey any command. Ryan became increasingly indignant upon hearing the serious words from his beloved friend. Jan raised his sword high with determination. Enough. This matter is not up for negotiation here, Ryan declared. I proclaim. Both Rena and Grandfather Wen looked at Ryan in astonishment. Rena became panicked and tried to stop Ryan. Don't do this. Sister doesn't know what you're planning, but don't. But Ryan was determined. He thrust his sword forcefully into the ground, the impact accompanied by a loud sound, especially significant. He shouted loudly with conviction, I, Ryan Wen, the third son of the Wen family, from this moment on, will become Soren's sword. Upon his declaration, Mr. Bob, the household head, became infuriated. What is this? This insolent fool. I can provide context on the origin of the Knight's Oath, which originated when the kingdom of Tomia was newly established. During a chaotic period when various kingdoms fought for dominance, Athophel, the strongest among them, successfully unified all and declared the establishment of the Thea kingdom. However, the newly established kingdom faced resistance from neighboring powerful kingdoms. Instead of facing punishment during the unification of the kingdom, defeated kings were allowed to directly rule their own territories. In the process, they created the Knight's Oath. They swore to become swords that only their masters could wield. In return, they were granted noble status, which is the origin of the Knight's Oath and the nobility. Therefore, breaking the Knight's Oath means the person will become even more despicable than a wild dog. After making his declaration, Ryan smirked mischievously at everyone and said, What do you all think? Now I can't take it back, can I? After saying that, he even questioned himself, Master, it seems like I've caused a big mess this time. Indeed, Ryan's master didn't hand him the sword for such purposes. Soren panicked when he saw Ryan's actions. He helped Ryan up and asked, Ryan, what are you doing? Grandfather Wen, now with a serious tone, spoke up, If I am truly witnessing my grandson saying he will become your sword, then that boy must be worthy, right? Answer me? Is he truly talented? Or is he only talented in your eyes because you yourself are useless? Upon hearing Grandfather Wen's question, Ryan burst into a mischievous smile and immediately affirmed, A sword doesn't judge. It only protects. This answer made Soren and the household members even more fearful, not understanding what was happening. Former household head, Claim, just laughed heartily. He asserted, Ha ha. That's right. These little brats need to be pushed to this extent to reach the peak. Your mouth is quite something, but with your mediocre swordsmanship, I feel sorry for your companion receiving such a sword. This remark made Ryan quite self-conscious, and he complained, Grandfather. The old man stopped teasing his grandson and instead approached Soren, patting him on the shoulder. Even though the boy isn't the sharpest sword, Soren, he will never betray you. Take good care of my grandson. Soren bowed his head in thought and then decisively replied to the old man, Thank you for recognizing me. After resolving the situation, former household head Claim gave an order, Since you two have sworn to be friends for life, I can't let you go like this. Butler, use the horse carriage that Soren would have used to return home and bring his parents here. Yes, right away. But why now? The other household members were surprised by this decision of Grandfather Wen. Indeed, I never know what the nobility is thinking. Ryan, after being acknowledged by his grandfather, was ecstatic and shouted, Aha! I feel so relieved. He talked to Soren, Did you see my family's expressions? Awesome. However, Soren was very worried about Ryan, the Knight's Oath, you don't need to do this to me. Upon hearing this, Ryan immediately sat up and explained, Soren, I'm not doing this because you're my friend. I'm different from my older brother, he has the power to attract others. But I'm just placing my life's bet on someone like you. Hearing this, Soren suddenly blushed and felt pressured. Why did you suddenly say that? I feel too pressured. Soren also emphasized, but if you want to protect me, you'll have to train much harder. Upon hearing this, Ryan felt a bit regretful and sheepishly said, "You've hit a sore spot in my heart." At that moment, his sister Rena entered the room to check on Ryan. Did you really swear the knight's oath to become Soren's sword? Seeing Ryan lying on the ground, Rena asked in surprise, "What happened to him?" Ryan nonchalantly replied, "Get out." Noticing Ryan's attitude, Soren was displeased and admonished, "What are you saying? Just a moment ago, your sister helped us a lot. Please come in." Jenna warned Soren and Ryan with some information. "That's right, I bring important information from the opposition side." Hearing this, Ryan quickly raised his head in curiosity. What are Dad and Grandfather doing? Rena sat down, sighed, and said, "They're really ruthless. But ultimately, you're determined with the knight's oath, so they're planning what to do next. Anyway, Dad is considering enrolling you and Soren in the Ken Sword Academy." "Soren, you said your swordsmanship talent is impressive, right?" "That's what you said." Soren broke out in a nervous sweat upon hearing this. "But handling it to this extent, why?" Rena affirmed, "Of course, now that you're a member of the family, I've told them all about your talent to see if they're willing to invest something in you. Surely, they want to help you succeed for Ryan's future." However, Ryan was furious and disagreed, shouting, "Without my permission, who dares to take me to school?" It was so hard for me to finally be able to hang out freely with Soren. Rena immediately snapped Ryan back to his senses. "You troublemaker. Causing such chaos and still wanting to do more." Ryan informed his sister that regardless, Soren was also going to the Sword Academy. Soren's future lay in becoming a mage. He had already opened up that path. "Surprised, aren't you?" Rena thought she misheard. "What? Mage? Soren has opened up that path? Hold on, does that mean you swore the knight's oath to a future mage? Even if it's useless, there should be some limit." Ryan quickly dismissed her. "Get out of here." After hearing about Soren's magical prowess, Rena understood somewhat and exclaimed, "So, you use Cesteria to sense the spiritual world and read Ryan's movements to win?" The more Rena thought, the more fascinated she became. Interesting. Since Soren's spiritual energy is quite high, this can definitely work. Praising words made Soren's eyes light up. "Really?" Rena continued to commend him. "You're amazing. According to what I learned at school, the denser the energy in the spiritual world, the more stable it becomes, and being able to maintain the density while wielding a sword is incredible." The more he heard these compliments, the more flushed Soren's face became. Both Ryan and Rena found it curious. Why feel embarrassed about something so new? Before leaving, Rena informed Ryan and Soren that she would talk to Grandpa about Soren's path. "Of course, the condition for you to enter the sword school will be included." Ryan was surprised. "What? So what will happen to our master?" Rena answered his question. "Your master already knows about this. So yesterday, he ended the contract. Tomorrow will be the time for him to bid farewell." Ryan felt a bit sad. "Huh?" He looked at the sword in his hand, his eyes filled with determination and gratitude toward his master. At the same time, Ryan's master was also on his way out, stepping quietly and solemnly on the small path. He had already guessed that Ryan would mature gradually. Today, the head steward was opening the door and announcing to Soren, "Soren, your family is here and waiting in the living room. The master said you can go meet them first if you want." Rena, upon receiving this news, looked excitedly at Soren. "What do you say, Soren?" This news made Soren ecstatic to the point of madness. His eyes gleamed with happiness, and he immediately replied, "I'll go." Soren was eager to meet his parents to the extent that he ran up the stairs as if gliding, prompting the family to remind him, "Sir, the stairs. Be careful on the stairs." Seeing the family suddenly talking so formally, Soren felt embarrassed. "You can talk to me as before, using such honorifics seems." The family panicked and quickly stopped. "No, please don't say that, our heads will roll. Even though we won't tell anyone." But still, it's not allowed, they insisted. Soren burst into the room, swinging the door open with a rush of emotions. Overwhelmed with joy, he exclaimed, "Mom, Dad." His parents were even more elated to see their son. Soren! He rushed towards his parents, moments of pure happiness enveloping him. The three family members embraced each other with love and emotion. Seeing his parents, Soren couldn't help but feel sorry for them. They look thinner now. They must have been worrying about me day and night. Seeing the sadness on his son's face, Mr. Vincent comforted him. "Soren, don't worry, Mom and Dad are fine. But why did you suddenly call us? If you're done here, shouldn't we go home? Are they forcing you to stay here?" Upon hearing his father's question, Soren replied, "No, it's not like that, Dad. I've been given a pretty good opportunity, it's like this." And so, Soren seemed to have recounted all his experiences and upcoming opportunities of the past 2 years. After hearing everything, his parents experienced a roller coaster of emotions: joy, fear, horror, worry. Vincent carefully asked again, "Haha. So you mean you've become friends with a noble young master while working in the library, and this young master loudly swore the knight's oath with you? And you were allowed to be friends with him?" "Yes, that's right." Still not believing his ears, Vincent asked loudly, "Soren, tell your father the truth. How can someone as smart as you have such delusions? Is someone treating you badly? Is that it?" "No, it's true." No matter how Soren explained, his father still didn't believe. "Oh my God, they say those who go to the noble house can't come back unscathed, my child." While Soren's family was in turmoil, there was a notification: "Young master, the master of the house has arrived." The household head, Bob, appeared and greeted them. "Very pleased to meet you both. I am the master of this house, Bob Foran." Ryan also greeted Soren's parents. "Hello, sir, I'm Ryan, Soren's sword." Rena also introduced herself. "I'm the eldest daughter of the Wynn family, Rena. I've heard a lot about both of you." Hearing the friendly greetings from the renowned noble family in the kingdom, Vincent became even more astonished. He and his wife immediately stood up, bowing their heads in greeting. "Hello, we are Soren's parents. Why would such great people like you?" Seeing the apprehensive attitude of the Aryan family, Rena couldn't help but be curious. "Oh my, have you not heard from Soren?" In truth, they had heard what their son said, but Vincent dared not believe those words. Those delusions the kid talked about are all true, right? It's impossible for us, a peasant family, to sit at the same table with nobles. What on earth is happening? Olena can't stop being surprised by the care they're receiving. So many dishes, Vincent marveled quietly to his wife. "Thank you." After finishing their meal, the couple was invited to have tea. The luxurious atmosphere at the table made Soren's father think, "Even if I don't know what the knight's oath is, there's no way they would treat a peasant family like us this way. I need to clarify this." Vincent began to speak. "I'm sorry. I'm very pleased that my son is valued by you, but I'm also very worried that a high-ranking noble like the Wynn family would swear the knight's oath with Soren. It's unbelievable." Bishop Ozan was also quite tired of this matter. He sighed and explained, "I have to admit, I'm a bit uncomfortable too. However," he continued, "for the Wynn family, nobility like us who adhere to the feudal system, the knight's oath is absolute. If we discriminate just because of differences in social status, it would destroy Ryan's honor. So, he decided, from now on, we'll use formal language, so please don't feel uncomfortable, and our family will fully support both of your sons." Old Mr. Claim seems satisfied that his son finally spoke sensibly, so he's quite pleased. However, Soren felt uncomfortable. Father's too loud. Any decision from household head Bob made Soren hesitant. As a managing household head who decides all major matters of the family, words like determination and pride truly suited him. Although he struggled with the decision to place a commoner under his protection, he feared no one. Ryan appeared very pleased with his father's decision. Bursting with excitement, he continued, "If we get straight to the point, then your son is the one who uses the spiritual world. The spiritual world isn't something you can just diligently work towards, it's a talent you're born with. From what I know, Soren here is aiming to become a mage. So, if he wants to obtain an unofficial mage title as quickly as possible." Bob interrupted, I'm considering Ampa's Magic Academy one of the top 5 prestigious schools in the country, which would be suitable for him. I'm not saying he has to go there to become a mage, but not doing so would be detrimental to his talent. I don't encourage it, so he should attend Ampa's Academy to meet with family standards. Seeing his son's long and convoluted speech, grandfather chimed in, consider their understanding a bit, son. Bob sighed and summarized, if your son graduates from a magic school, he'll become a mage. Hearing this, Vincent couldn't contain his excitement and stood up joyfully. Our son will become a mage? Ampa's Magic Academy? Vincent was bewildered, is this a dream? Our son. But things weren't that simple. Bob pointed out, however, the biggest issue is his identity. This was something Vincent was deeply concerned about. Bob understood that magic schools were selective and only allowed noble descendants to enroll. Therefore, the Wen family made a decision, we'll adopt Soren. This further surprised Vincent. What? The Wen family believed this was the only choice after their family meeting. We have a cousin who still hasn't had a child. If we add the boy's name to our cousin's family, everything will be resolved. However, we have no intention of taking your son away, it's just on paper. But through this, Soren will become a noble. Vincent was lost in thought, Soren will become a noble? What luck for the boy to have such an opportunity. But if I were to do this, it feels like this child is being taken away. Vincent looked at Soren with confusion and asked, tell me, Soren, what should I do as a father? Has it already been decided? The reason for the father's thoughts was Soren's determined attitude and reassuring handholding. Soren immediately spoke up, no way. I am your son, and I cannot become someone else's foster child. Vincent attempted to interject, but Rena intervened, this is only on paper. Of course, we will treat your parents as your biological parents. You will achieve your dream, and nothing will change. Grandfather also chimed in with advice, Soren will become a noble. This opportunity doesn't come often. However, these words seemed to have no effect on Soren's decision. He declared firmly, if I have to give up my father for this, I would rather live as a commoner. This stubborn argument surprised everyone present. Grandfather Wen couldn't sit still, confronted by Soren's defiance. Why are you so stubborn? This world is not that easy. There are things you must give up to succeed. If you can't do that, then your dream is just childish play. Indifferent, Soren replied, maybe so. Meanwhile, Vincent was still contemplating. Soren continued to express his thoughts, even if my dream is wonderful, it's something I received from my parents. If they are the roots, then my dream is the nourishment I receive from them. Learning to read and getting the opportunity to work at one are things I achieved because of my parents' roots. This is just one opportunity I've gained, nothing compared to the countless opportunities my parents have given me. Now, to reject my roots would be like asking me to die. I truly appreciate everyone's suggestions, but I only have them as my parents. Hearing this, Grandfather Clam was taken aback, feeling guilty. What is this feeling of guilt? No, this child wants to say. Suddenly, Vincent spoke up, please, accept Soren as your foster son. Please, I beg of you all. Surprised, Soren exclaimed, Father. Grandfather hesitated, I understand your intention, but what Soren wants is also important. Vincent solemnly declared, Soren is not my biological son. Vincent's words left everyone feeling bewildered. Olina, surprised, asked, Vincent, what are you saying? Vincent, feeling sorrowful, expressed, we cannot have children. We got Soren through an unexpected event. I'm sure you can all tell, but the boy comes from a noble family. He is too extraordinary. If he becomes the foster child of a noble family, he will return to where he belongs. So, this is not a rejection or abandonment of parents' roots. Olina and everyone else present were astonished, asking, is that really so? Bob, however, had his doubts. He thought to himself, perhaps everyone here believes that. Soren looks nothing like his parents, but Vincent's words make me suspicious. Does he want to abandon his son? Soren, still unable to believe his ears, touched his father and asked, Father, what are you doing? How could you say that without discussing it with me beforehand? Vincent sighed, I'm sorry, but you're old enough now. You need to know. But Soren calmly responded, did you really think I wouldn't find out? The reason I didn't ask you is because people only have one set of parents. I also want that. But now, you want me to have 6 parents? Hearing his son's words, Vincent felt increasingly guilty. It seemed like he had spoken wrongly. He explained, I just didn't want you to give up on your dream because of us. Soren brushed off his words, who said anything about giving up on my dream? As long as I try, opportunities will come. But have you ever considered my feelings? Who would want their parents to abandon them twice? Moved by his son's heartfelt words and the tears streaming down his face, Vincent took Soren's hand and said shakily, everything I've done is my fault, Soren. We will never abandon you. Please forgive your foolish father. You are everything to us. The embrace between father and son truly touched Bob's heart. He realized, the things we do for our children can sometimes hurt them. Being a parent is indeed difficult. Clamp, watching his son Bob with empathy, added, you're not the only one struggling to raise your children alone, are you? Hearing these words, Bob teared up, looking at his son with immense love. Meanwhile, Ryan was also crying heavily, overcome with emotion. Indeed, he was a man of great emotional depth. Seeing the situation as it was, the household head, Bob, immediately proposed an alternative solution. I heard that Anpa's Academy of Magic has special considerations. Our father can help with that. Clam, surprised at being called, exclaimed, what can an old man like me do? How can I persuade that stubborn Anpas? Can't you? Really? I heard he owes our father. Taking advantage of Bob's revival of this old matter, Clam added with interest, for someone who follows all the rules, isn't being stubborn not the best method? Upon hearing this, Bob sighed helplessly at his father, but couldn't resist adding, you also used that method to force me into being the household head. Ha ha. It's all for your benefit, Clam retorted. Gradually, everything began to settle, and issues were resolved bit by bit. 3 days later, after Ryan arrived at the Magic Academy, the household allowed Soren's family to stay at the one residence. Soren confided in his friend, my father still feels guilty towards me. I wonder when he will remember this time. Eventually, Ryan and Soren found some free time, and the two of them spent it together in one place. The happiness on Ryan's face was mirrored on Soren's, and 3 days later, as Soren stood in front of the palace gate, he was disturbed by the terrible cries of Ryan. Seeing Ryan cry, Soren felt uneasy and advised, Ryan, don't cry. Ryan, still wearing a pained expression, cried out, why shouldn't I cry? I have to go to the Magic Academy when I get on that horse. I have to say goodbye for Rael. Why can't I enroll next year like you? Soren didn't know how to comfort Ryan and could only say, stay calm. Soren himself wasn't sure if he would be considered for special consideration. However, Soren could still meet Ryan during the holidays, and he reminded Ryan to write a letter every day. Before Ryan vigorously patted Soren's shoulder, Soren said, you must become a mage. I will become the strongest knight to protect you. I promise. Seeing Ryan ramble on, his older sister, Rena, punched him hard to stop him. She advised him to focus on graduating. I care about you the most. As for Soren, Rena reassured him, don't worry. Just enjoy your time with your family first, he will definitely help you enroll. Receiving this assistance, Soren smiled brightly, all right. And thank you, miss, for helping me. Although Rena had met Soren a few times, her surprise at him hadn't diminished. He was indeed a strange child. Initially thought to be just a cute kid, he was also very thoughtful and could maintain his beliefs in terrifying situations. Rena continued, Soren, maybe when you graduate. About to continue, she suddenly stopped and pondered, what am I thinking? He's a child about to live in a completely new environment, the Magic Academy. Just do your best, you will definitely become a mage. Soren also didn't forget to tell Miss Rena, please take care of Ryan. With their farewells said, both Ryan and Rena got on their horses and left. The lingering feeling of attachment was still evident on Soren's face as he waved goodbye and climbed onto the horse with his parents. As the carriage began to move, the wheels turned faster and faster. When Soren was seated on the carriage, he suddenly heard a loud call from afar, "Soren!" Ryan was shouting loudly, "When you get to the Magic Academy, make sure to outdo them." Soren laughed cheerfully upon receiving advice from his close friend. He replied, "You do the same, Ryan." Ryan went and Soren Arian. The meeting of these two enthusiastic young men would be remembered as the beginning of the event that disrupted the balance of the entire continent. The two carriages gradually disappeared, promising a new beginning.